Loaded Radio in your face podcast.
All right, it's the latest edition of the Loaded Radio podcast, and hey, I'm Scott Penfold, and a great one this week, man, as we are going to be talking with the one and only John Bush, longtime lead singer for Armored Saint, and as well, one-time singer for Anthrax, of course. Now, Armored Saint have got the new album, Punching the Sky, which is going to be coming out on October 23rd, and as well, they got a new single out there, too, called End of the Attention Span, which we're playing here on Loaded Radio. Then we go to the phones right now. John, good to be talking to you again, man. It's been a while, so hey, thanks for joining us today on the podcast.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it, Scott.
Now, the new album, Punching the Sky, it drops October 23rd, as I just mentioned. The lead single, End of the Attention Span, great killer sounding. It's almost like that classic thrash sound, but almost with a little bit of modernism punched in there as well. Where did that tune come from?
Well, musically, it was a combination of some riffs that Phil Sandoval had as well as Joey did, and we arranged it together, primarily Joey, and then I got together with him and started to work on lyrics, as we kind of pretty much have written a lot of songs over the last couple of records. Phil actually had the title, End of the Attention Span. He said, I have this idea, and he sent it to me, and I said, I like that, that's great, let me roll with it, and it just seemed like the appropriate title for this song, and once I started working on the lyrics, they came out pretty with me, and we made the video. The video has been on YouTube for almost a month now, and it's the best basic premise is the benefits of the technological world and all the smartphones and computers. They definitely bring a lot of positives to our life, but they could be diminishing our attention. And I kind of play on that and bust a little balls on society, take an opportunity to do that when I can, even myself, because I'm just as guilty as anybody else with being distracted by technology and not being able to focus sometimes, or taking the easy way out and just using phones to do everything for me instead of thinking a little harder. But, it's just a little social commentary on where we're at. And I have a couple kids and they're teenagers, and I see that, how I'm actually concerned about the way it may be affecting the future generations here. And so it's a good topic, and it's a great song, and you pretty much hit it on the head, I think, with the sound of the song. It sounds old school in a way, but it also sounds like 2020.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it seems like we've almost gone from an era that, has gone from lighters to cell phones in a concert setting. How do you feel about people recording shows on their phones instead of actually just, sitting there and watching them or enjoying the show?
Well, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. So there's mixed emotions on it. Obviously, there's pluses and minuses. We could talk about a show in wherever, Kansas City, Missouri, and I can go, well, because they're 2005, let me see if it's on there, and you can type it in, and boom, it'll pop up. So obviously, there are, like I said, there's pluses to that, because it's, you can see a show that you played just about anywhere in the world and check it out and find a song from the show, and a lot of the time things are available. But at the same time, when you're watching a live performance, and I am grateful, like I said, to the people who are actually filming it, because sometimes I need to use that for whatever reason, some kind of reference or whatever. At the end of the day, you want to live in the moment and watch the show. And it's always funny to me if people are really close and they're the ones filming, but yet looking through their phones. Like, I get it, you're filming, but you're still like 10 rows in. You don't need to look through your phone. You got it. You got the way it looks, and now you should be paying attention to the gig. So again, it's a little bit of like I said, some ball busting. It's not like this is making me angry or anything like that. It's not like I'm pissed off. It's more of just like really, you're not gonna like just live in the moment and watch the gig and watch with your eyes and not through this little screen, and you're gonna take it all in. That's the world. Everybody films everything. Everybody documents everything. Everybody is immediately posting that they've been to this, or they were there, and then it's almost less about the actual circumstances and the place, and more about just letting everyone else that you were there, which is kind of a weird world. It's, where I think the smartphones have created this kind of narcissistic behavior, and it's building. It's the same thing with people who write comments about everything. Everybody's a critic now. Everybody has a comment to make, and it's funny because Yahoo just recently took down the comment section, which was probably a good idea because it was getting pretty hostile and pretty angry, and obviously there's a lot of people that are pretty divided on lots of topics. But and sometimes I'd read them because sometimes they were funny. But unless they were funny, I could give a shit. If you're funny and you're creative, that's cool. If you're just hostile and you're spewing your own rhetoric, you're just one person. Who cares what you think? Or you care what you think.
Now, getting back to the album, the producer role, was that Jay Rustin, or was he mixing it, or?
Joey did. Joey Vera produced the album. Yeah, Joey produced it. Jay Rustin mixed the record again. He mixed When Hands Down. And it's a great little team that we got going. He's amazing. Jay is he's been able to bring out the Armored Saint sound, and make it super powerful the last couple of records, and we're real grateful, and got a good thing going, so we wrote it again.
So since the pandemic got underway back in March, how have you been filling your time?
For those first few months, I think we were trying to embrace what it was and have a good time, spend a lot of time eating outdoors with the family time. I have 2 kids. They're both teenagers at this point.
We walk the dogs a lot.
Yeah.
Kind of just try to be closer together, even if we weren't in the room just talking all the time. Just the presence was good. We have a little chaotic life here with me and my wife, and we have a business, and both my kids play a lot of sports, and so we're a lot of times just driving them around, and you try to fit that all in with being a musician and all the other duties as parents and stuff, and sometimes the day gets away from you. And the weird thing is, time did kind of go by at the same time when it seemed that logically should have slowed down, because you're spending a lot of time doing nothing. Not nothing, of course. I'm sure plenty of people are doing things and being productive or trying to be, but yet it still kind of went fast. Like the day went by, the week went by. Tuesday didn't feel any different than Friday or Saturday. And we all were just like everybody else. Luckily for Armored Saint, the record was actually going into mix mode right when the shutdown really happened, we were fortunate, because if it was 2 months earlier, we would have been starting to record and going to different studios and
right.
Probably being together with other people, and that would have probably been challenging and frustrating. But luckily, we just gave the record to Jay, and he did it on his own, and we were fortunate in that aspect.
Yeah, certainly. Well, even still looking at the way things are right now, are you concerned yourself about the music industry, or what do you think's going to happen eventually?
I'm very concerned with the music industry. I think everybody should be. I was just reading a big article on live shows, and somebody wrote an article suggesting that this is the new norm, and that viral shows will happen. And I'm like, look, don't plant that seed in people's minds, man. Don't do that, because you're not going to be replacing live music concerts with something on a viral, live stream. Don't get me wrong. Armored Saint's doing our live stream October 10th. From the Whiskey at Go-Go here. We want everybody to tune in. It's going to be a fun thing. It's going to be a weird thing because nobody's going to be there. We're going to be playing the cameras. And I understand that we have to do this, but it's for now. I'm not saying that this is something that I'm hoping, 2 years from now we're still doing because no one's going to shows. I think that would be a huge, giant, just area of frustration if that happened. So I'm optimistic and a little resilient to the fact of concerts are going to be affected forever to this. I don't want to think like that, because I love going to concerts. I love performing at concerts. I like going to hockey games at the Staples Center for the Kings, and I don't want to say I can't do these things anymore because I can't be around a big group of people. I don't want to think like that, because I think that our lives would be forever changed, and I don't want to succumb to that, quite honestly. I'm all for it. Believe me, I'm all for it. If everybody, we can get 100 people at a show and everybody has to wear a mask, yeah, come wear a mask and be at the gig, do what we got to do to get past this. I'm down for that. But I don't want to think that this is going to be forever changed. I don't want to accept that. So, in the meantime, it's a big element that's missing for musicians and for fans and for promoters and for venues. And I'm really empathetic for all those people because we need it. And concerts have changed my life since I was 12 years old and inspired me. So I just want to hope. I want to hope that we can get past this, and maybe a vaccine will happen, and a large contingency of people will be willing to take it. It'll get the herd immunity thing, and it'll be safe, and we can move on and think of Corona in the past of something like it was just it was bad, but now it's like a cold. I want to get to that point.
Of course. And you mentioned the live event coming up at the Whiskey in October. Do you feel like when you're going to be on stage, you're going to be performing to essentially an empty room? I mean, do you think that's going to affect it? Is that going to affect, do you think, the performance, the feel? I mean, it will be different, obviously.
Yeah, it will be different. I have no idea exactly how it will be, to be honest. I think it'll be kind of a little bit more like a glorified rehearsal.
Sure.
And hey, back in the day in Armored Saints, early days in 1983, we'd get together in our storage facility and rock out and rehearse, and we would pretend that we were performing. So we kind of have that in our back pocket. That's something that we kind of isn't that foreign to be doing for us. But yeah, it'll be weird, of course. I'm not going to deny that. Playing in front of the cameras and pretending, knowing that there's people watching, so you kind of have to play to the camera. Knowing that there's very few people out in the audience, and ending a song, you're not going to get a big, loud crowd response. Not being able to utilize the crowd for certain parts to embellish the show and have them sing, and yeah, it's going to be bizarre. But today, not today, October 10th, is something we have to do to contend with where we're at this time, and so we'll do it because we want to play. We have a new record. We have a lot. We're going to play several new songs, so we're really excited because, of course, once you make a new record, you want to play those songs live, and that's normal desire. So we're gonna do that, and that's gonna be fun, and play a couple deep tracks which we haven't played for a while. So we're gonna roll with it, and then after that, I don't know. I have no idea what's gonna go on from there. I'm like I said, I'm hopeful and try to be optimistic that perhaps things will get better. It's not like all of a sudden December 31st is going to be probably different from January 1st. So, and this could carry on into next year, obviously. So I don't know, but we didn't want it to prevent us from putting out a record. I think now more than ever, people need to listen to music because you don't have that option of going to see a live performance. So you're really dependent on listening to music wherever you do, at home, in your car, on headphones, you name it, when you're running, whatever. So I think it was really essential that we got our record out.
Well, I know that some guys who are really big fans of the way you sing would be the guys in Metallica. I mean, and there's always been that sort of, that kinship between Armored Saint and Metallica. I mean, even going back to just after Kill 'Em All, when you had the opportunity to step in for James as vocalist. I mean, do you get sick of people asking you about that?
No, I don't get sick of it. It's a part of my life, and obviously there's new people that are aware of it or become exposed to that situation. So, I'm always flattered that the biggest band in the world was interested in having me sing for them. I can never imagine anyone singing on a Metallica record other than James. That was his fate, and that's the way it was supposed to go, and that's the way the heavy metal book was supposed to be written, So I'm grateful, and I'm flattered, and I love the connection between Armored Saint and Metallica through the years too, as you just pointed out.
And you know what I thought was really, really cool at the 30th anniversary where you got up there and did the Four Horsemen with Metallica. I mean, that was just that it was almost like an image of what could have been, Well,
that was the highlight of my life. Obviously, it was an amazing show. It was an amazing weekend. Or whenever, the 4 days that they did that, which was really cool for the fans and the fan club members and stuff, and playing so many different songs from their whole catalog, and having all these different people. I mean, the day we played, it was King Diamond, Lou Reed, Kid Rock, Armored Saint. It was weird, there's like heavy people there just that day. And it was a really fun experience to be a part of, and obviously to get on stage and play that song with them. It was just a pretty magical moment. So, and it sounded great, and it's documented, and so it was the hey, what if? But it was a fleeting moment, but a great moment nevertheless.
Certainly was. And another band I definitely have to bring up because I'm such a fan of your work with them would be Anthrax. I think Sound of White Noise, to me, it defined the 90s for me as a metalhead. How do you look back at your time with Anthrax?
I love it. We made some amazing music. It was a transition from the Anthrax success in the 80s to the 90s. Things were changing, so it was a little harder and it was more challenging, especially when you bring in a new singer. It's going to change the sound of the band. Obviously, voices is voice, distinct thing. I rolled with it, and I think we made some really great records. Some songs better than others, but all in all, I think that there's some amazing moments throughout all the records, and being in a band with those guys, I learned a lot about touring, and I learned a lot about experience, and I was exposed to a lot more people, and they're certainly very talented guys. I think playing with Charlie and Scott and Frank has just been a great thing because they're just good. They're good players. Anytime you play with different people, it's going to probably bring something else to your own talents, and it did that. So, it was a long time. It was like 13 years that I was in the band.
Yeah.
And we made a lot of cool music, and I'm proud of it. There was a time where it got a little distant, but sometimes that's just normal. Relationships kind of go their own way sometimes, and if you're fortunate, they kind of find their ways back, and it's done that, and so it's all good.
So you still speak with Scott or Charlie or any of those guys like once in a while?
Yeah, we text each other every now and then, and find common things to laugh about and reminisce about. And there was a time when me and Charlie hadn't spoken a lot, but we've overcome that. And I see Scott more often because Scott lives here in Southern California, but and I'll see him at a mutual, like him and Joey Vera and Tracy Vera him and Pearl are very close with them. So I'll see them at their house periodically for a barbecue or whatnot. But I hadn't seen Charlie and Frankie in a long time. As a matter of fact, the first time I saw Charlie in years was when he came out and played when we did the Metal Allegiance tour.
Right.
I think it was last year, actually. Mm-hmm. And he came out and did a couple songs in the San Francisco show, and that was really fun. If
the guys came to you and Joey was sick for a gig or something, and they said, "Can you?" Would you step up there with the guys?
I really believe, honestly, that Joey Belladonna is meant to be in Anthrax. I really do. I think that's just the way that Anthrax should carry on. That being said, if there was maybe he had to call in sick in a show, and I happened to be in the town, and, and I had an opportunity to remember all the songs, sure, why not, of course. But I do believe that the way that Anthrax is supposed to carry on is with Joey as a frontman. But there might be something to do in a way to kind of revisit those songs, because they don't play a lot of them anymore, and I get it. I understand why when you have a whole catalog with Joey and even new records, obviously. But one day perhaps some kind of one-off show or something, as a group, not just with me, maybe with Joey. Even Scott mentioned something about one day maybe doing something with Neil Turbin and the other two singers.
Wow.
Could be a really fun thing for the fans. I don't know if that's something that's just talk or whatever, but again, it would have to be something that I think that Joey Belladonna should feel comfortable with, and because his place in Anthrax is really important, and I think he should feel like it's something that he wants to be part of. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it, because I think I respect him, and I think he should have he should feel confident about his place in the band, and his place in the band is really important.
Understood, man. And also, something I really dug that you did is If You Were God, the song you did off the Ellison release with Dave Ellison from Megadeth. Yeah, that was really cool, dude. How did that come along?
That was so long ago. I can't even remember what year it was because we recorded it so long ago.
Really?
And Dave was putting out his bass book with his with some songs he's done, and he asked me if it was cool to put it out there, and I said, yeah, let's do it. So I wanted to hear it again just to make sure I was content with the way I did it and how it came out. But I'd say early 90s maybe is when that happened. Really remember, yeah, it was a long time ago. or maybe later, I don't really remember. Some Dave probably knows, but it was cool. Again, playing with somebody like Dave Ellison and Metal Legions and Mike Portnoy and Alex Skolnick is always it's just more amazing, talented peers of mine. So whenever I can do something like that, it actually rises me up as a performer and a singer because I'm with other talented guys who just have a lot of experience, and so these kind of things, they just, like I said, they make you better as a musician and as a singer and as a performer. And doing something with Dave is great. He's a really, like, Dave Ellison is like one of the nicest guys in heavy metal ever.
He really is.
He's a really good guy. So it's great.
Awesome. Well, you know what, John? I can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk to me today, man. It's been really rad of you.
Thank you, brothers. Thanks for all the support, and enjoy the record when it comes out. And don't forget to promote the live stream October 10th. And you can get tickets at armoredsaint.veeps.com. Once again, armoredsaint.veeps.com.
No worries, John. Take care. All the best. Big thanks as always going out to you for tuning in to the Loaded Radio podcast. Don't forget to check out loadedradio.com for all your updated hard rock and metal news, plus the 24-hour online station right there for you too. And we'll talk to you on the next edition of the Loaded Radio podcast right here on Loaded Radio.